and welcome back to another episode of Future of the World. If you haven't seen the last episode, I think you should go see that right now. But yeah, if you didn't go see the last episode, I'll give you a quick recap. The war in Russia and Ukraine ended. Ukraine lost. Like half of Ukraine was given over to Russia. Puppet state, or no, a vassal state was set up in the eastern bit of what was left of Ukraine, and a puppet state is in the current or is in what's left of Ukraine. Israel finished off Palestine, and now they have a little bit of a Hamas problem. India and the Indian and Pakistan war wrapped up. India won and took Kashmir, and I think a little like this southern bit down here. And finally, a really big event: the United States left NATO and they're now on their own. So yeah, that is the quick recap of what happened in the last episode. So now let's get right into this episode. So, Russia, after conquering their neighbor to the southwest, they're not done with this whole imperialism bit. They still want more. They long for the days of the Russian Empire, which, if you don't know, kind of included or kind of had their borders look something like this. So basically, all of Eastern Europe, and yeah, they kind of want all that. They want their glory. They want to go back to their glory days. But they can't invade Finland because they're a part of NATO. They can't invade the Baltic states. They're a part of NATO. You can't invade Romania. They're a part of NATO. Poland is a part of NATO, and if you try touching them, they'll be in Moscow by the end of the week. So who does that leave? It leaves tiny Belarus, who isn't a part of NATO and who is already like kind of Russian aligned. So yeah, Russia, they uh, move their troops from the Ukrainian area and then put them on the border of Belarus. Belarus sees this and is like, hey, what are you doing there, bud? And Russia's like, nothing. And then troops kind of roll over the Belarusian border, and Belarus is like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? And Russia's like, nothing. And Belarus is like, hey, you're kind of taking over our territory. And Russia's like, no. And then yeah, they continue invading, and Belarus is like, hey, can you stop that? And Russia's like, yeah, no, not gonna happen, buddy. We want your land. Your land looks kind of valuable to us. You were once a part of us, and we're gonna be taking you over. And Belarus is like, damn it. Well, we can't really do anything. Um, we're gonna try to fight back, but it's not gonna do much. Um, but yeah, Belarus is doesn't turn into like another Ukraine. Um, Mainly because the West doesn't really like Belarus. Belarus is basically like Russia's lapdog. So yeah, Belarus kind of on their own there. Also, Belarus is already like buddy buddy with Russia IRL, so they probably aren't gonna like do much. I think Lukashenko, the president of Belarus, is basically like besties with Putin, and so he's basically like, yeah, sure, why not? Go ahead, take over a country. Yeah, that's fine, whatever. And doesn't really like fight back the Russians. So yeah, Belarus, well then is completely taken over, and with this we see complete annexation by Russia. Yeah, Russia probably wasn't gonna settle for anything less. They also, because with the war in Ukraine, and they didn't like take over completely. Um, they're like, hey, we kind of want more land, and then took over Belarus. So yeah, that happened. One less country on the earth. Um, yeah, all of Europe is really, really scared right now. Because they think they're going to be next. They're probably right. But yeah, they think they're going to be next, and with the U.S. no longer in NATO protecting them, they have to build up their own militaries themselves. But yeah, moving away from the affairs of Europe, we go down here to the most controversial place on this planet. In the last episode, um, as you remember from the recap, uh, Israel completely took over Palestine, and as you can probably imagine, the Palestinians aren't too happy about that. So Hamas is basically every like able-bodied man in what used to be Palestine. Uh, so yeah, with this new surge in numbers and membership, Hamas quickly starts spreading or starts like taking land back throughout all of Israel. They take some land back in like the Gaza area, and yeah, and like where they were in like the West Bank. And Israel's like, huh, that's kind of interesting. Hey, America, can we have some help here? And is like, yeah, sure, have $50 billion. And Israel's like, oh, cool, thanks, bro. And yeah, they continue to kind of wipe out uh, the Palestinians. They kind of push Hamas back a little bit. But yeah, Israel has a Hamas problem. They continue to wipe out the Palestinian populations, and everyone in the Western world is quite pissed. Well, not just the Western world. All these Muslim countries are also quite pissed. But yeah, massive protests in the United States are happening. Um, does Washington, D.C. care? No, they don't. The date is currently March of 2026. We started in October. This war lasted from October 2026 to like May 2026. All of this shenanigans is basically happening throughout the video. The reason why it's 2026, specifically March, is because in May of 2020 or April of 2026 in the US, the midterms are happening, and before that, in like February, there's a little oopsie doopsies with the cartel where they accidentally kill a few police officers in Texas. They didn't know they were police officers. They're kind of like going undercover and stuff, and they got into a little kerfuffle with the police, American police, not Mexican, and three police officers die, which pisses off a lot of people in Texas. Yeah, they get very angry, not happy with this. Um, this news goes up to Washington into the ear of Donald Trump, and he's like, you know what? Enough with this Mexico crap. There's too many immigrants coming in, and now there's cartels. So so Mexico, we're gonna send our or we're gonna send our military in to get rid of the cartels. And Mexico's like, no, you aren't. No, can't do that. And the U.S. is like, I'd like to see you try. And so troops roll over the border of Mexico, and yeah, America invades Mexico, which is very unpopular with the rest of the world. All of Europe condemns the U.S. And it pisses off a lot of people within the United States. It pisses off the Latino community, who makes up like a large chunk of the U.S. population. It pisses off a lot of the young people because they don't want to go to war for like no reason. And yeah, and it pisses off everyone who, really doesn't want to go to war against Mexico, except for like the people in the red states who like are like, yeah, let's get them, boys. But yeah, a lot of people are very pissed. They start. The military doesn't get like a lot of like volunteers, other than like the ones that are already or other than like the people who are already in the military, which is a bit of a problem when you're at war. So Donald Trump, he does this little thing called reinstating the draft, and I'm not sure if you know this, but the draft was I think repealed by Nixon back in the 70s during Vietnam. Um, which turned the military into like a volunteer force. Um, but the main reason Nixon got rid of the draft was because it was very unpopular. Um, yeah, it was very unpopular. No like college student liked it, and they protested very hard. And now that the draft is back, and all the college students and people fresh out of high school who don't want to go into die in Mexico are like, you know what? We're gonna protest really, 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 really hard. And so basically, what happens is that young people all across the United States burn their draft cards and are like, hell no, we won't go. And which is and they march in the streets in like every major city across the U.S. And massive protests are up, spanning like multiple days to like multiple weeks, which really is not good for the U.S. But Trump is like, you know what? Whoever doesn't go fight in Mexico, it gets arrested, which doesn't really deter anyone. But yeah. But anyways, down in Mexico, it's basically Vietnam Part 2 or Afghanistan Part 2. Even though they're right on the border. The reason why this is because you're fighting someone or a group of people who aren't like a collective military force and have access to the natural terrain and know what the natural terrain is, just like in Vietnam. So that's why the invasion of Mexico is basically Vietnam Part 2. But yeah, because of this, it is very, very, very difficult for the U.S. to push in to, Mexico. And with the lack of young people going off to fight, it's even harder. The U.S. isn't really like keeping like replacing the casualties. Like this push into Baja alone costs like 10,000 lives, which is a lot. Um, the U.S. military has, or well, not military, but the army. The army has about 500,000 people. That's a lot. But but even if you have 500,000 people in your army, 10,000 losses is not good when you're trying to invade your neighbors. Um, yeah, so the U.S. they managed to capture Baja, but it takes like 15,000 lives. Not good. Um, yeah, but yeah. Anyways, the U.S. They at least attempt to push or like to invade across the border to like secure it. So people don't or like the cartels don't like go into the mainland United States and like cause havoc. Which happens anyways. They kind of get past the front lines and blow shit up in like Texas and Arizona and California and New Mexico. Um, but yeah, as the war continues and snakes down this way into the desert of Mexico and over here in the not really desert of Mexico, protests are like really, really starting to ramp up. Like the longer this war goes on, the more protests there are. And currently, the death toll for the U.S. Forces is about 20,000, which is a lot. And the death toll for Mexico, including civilians, is about 50,000. So yeah, everyone in America is pissed except for like the people who wanted to invade Mexico anyways. But yeah, uh, eventually as March or February draws into a close and goes into March, and then March draws into a close, April appears, and it's now midterm season. Midterms in 2026 start on April 7th. Uh, on April 2nd, Trump comes out and is like, "Hey, so yeah, the midterms are kind of canceled. Yeah, there's too much civil unrest in the United States, and we're kind of at war, and it'd just be too much of a hassle to like have some midterms, so we're just gonna cancel them." And that was the wrong answer, as a lot of people start not peacefully protesting and start rioting across the country. So yeah, this these red dots aren't like a rebellion. It's just like like actually it's kind of like a rebellion. Their protests is so large that the military is unable to combat them. But yeah, protests break out in Southern California, break out in in the San Francisco Bay Area. They break out in like Portland and Seattle and such. Yeah, they break out in New York, in Philadelphia, in Boston, and like a bunch of the Northeast. Um, and even like Jersey and like DC-ish. Even hell, even in like Florida, they're like super pissed off. But yeah, these groups are kind of militant a little. They're really pissed that you know the midterms are canceled. You don't cancel midterms. You don't uh cancel or you don't get rid of what someone has to say. Oh yeah, also Chicago um breaks out into protest. Same with Detroit. But yeah, so that was kind of a little major oopsie. Yeah, it's now like April 7th when the midterms would have arrived, and yeah, these guys are no longer peaceful protesters. They are now like militant rebels. They continue they go and capture a bunch of territory and start making demands to get the midterms back on. The rebels in like Jersey, they link up with the Massachusetts guys, and eventually they take over Delmarva, and then they go into DC and they like kind of surround it. In Down here in Florida, Mar-a-Lago, it gets overrun and burned to the ground. If you don't know what Mar-a-Lago is, it's basically Trump's like golf course. But yeah, they overrun it and burn it to the ground, and then eventually protesters reach DC. They go into the Capitol and they storm the building and like they basically just like break in uh Congress, and Congress has to basically evacuate. Same with the Supreme Court, and the president is taken to like somewhere like in the interior of the US where there aren't really any rebels. But yeah, so it's not good that the United States is in a major rebellion. Um Yeah, not good. You don't really want a rebellion and during times of, war. So Trump is like very quickly reverses this decision and is like, "Hey, okay, just kidding, guys. Can you like stop rebelling?" And these guys are like, "No, get the midterms back on." And he's like, "Okay, fine. Get the midterms back on. Just calm down." And these guys are like, we'll calm down when you hold the midterms. And Trump's like, okay, fine. And the midterms are held, and they end on November 3rd. Actually, no. Actually, yeah. They end. This happens over, I think, over like the course of like maybe n like November. Actually, no. Let's say let's say this all happens, from April 7th to uh September or August 4th. So yeah, August 4th, the rebels they calm down and the midterms are back on, and come November, um, the Republicans completely lose control of Congress. Democrats they control like 3/4 of Congress, which is bad for the Republicans. But yeah, the rebels they all chill out and like okay fine we'll stop doing this. um they take a little chill pill here and they're like okay yay. But yeah, um Congress is now ruled by Democrats, and well, the impeachment process of Donald Trump begins, and yeah, the war in Mexico is still raging on. They don't really stop that. The Even though it kind of like Well, yeah, they didn't stop, but because of the massive protests, the Americans are really, really, really pushed out of Mexico. Ex they basically get pushed back to the border, except for like Baja and like a like 50-mile border radius of the rest of the border. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode. I hope you liked it. If you did like it or enjoy it, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're at 350 now, and I think we can do it. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.